Hey guys, welcome back to Tuesday. We are here in Imperial Sewers checking out the first of 3 vendors that change what they carry on Tuesday mornings. We're starting off with a Lessian necklace and ring. We have a Bankerite treasure map. Please don't get that one this way. They are super cheap at traders. But if you've forgotten, Bankerite gives you 7th Legion Brute gear, Spriggan's Thorns, and Vampire Lord, as well as a chance for Ancestral Orc legs or shields motif leads. But no, this isn't worth 6,000 Telvar. Skip that for this week. Our second set of jewelry is Impregnable necklace and ring, Impregnable armor. It comes in healthy, arcane, and robust, so you have some choices. Our leads this week, we have Dovra Sabaton toe cap. This, of course, is part of the Dovra Sabaton's mythic. And this is a really good one. This is a good one. This one drops from Psijic portals in Southern Elsewhere. And I don't know if you've tried to get this lead, but it is awful. Finding a Psijic portal alone, for me at least, was very difficult. I had a runestone path that I followed. I harvested all the runestones. I'd go back through, still no Psijic portals. I ended up enlisting the help of friends to get this one, so definitely worth 25,000 Telvar in my mind. Our second lead is Ritual Circlet from Gaze of Sithis. This one drops off the final boss in the dungeon, Cradle of Shadows. Not a horrible one to get, but it is a DLC dungeon. Our scripts this week, we have Bound Affix Script Berserk adds Berserk, a buff increasing damage done. Bound Affix Script Protection adds protection, a buff reducing damage taken. Bound Focus Script Taunt adds a taunt. And Bound Signature Script Anchorite's Cruelty adds a Consume Soul Gem to deal Oblivion damage effect. And our final item is Fragment of the Crazed. This is one of 5 pieces of the Annulment Vibrant Yellow skill style. This one drops off the Cold Harbor World Boss Abadara. Remember, these fragments are a guaranteed drop. So personally, I would just go kill this world boss. But if that is a struggle for you, or if you just don't wanna, it's here for 5,000 Telvar. All right, on to the next vendor. Next up is the Scholarium, so let's see what he has for us today. We have Bound Affix Script Evasion, adds evasion, a buff reducing damage from area effects. Bound Focus Script Shock Damage, adds shock damage. Bound Signature Script Assassin's Misery adds improved use of status effects. And looks like that's it. Now we're headed to Infinite Archive. And finally, let's see what Filer Ul has for us in Infinite Archive. Starting off super strong this week with Solstice treasure maps. Unlike some of the base game treasure maps, I do think this one is worth 2,000 archival fortunes. And here's why. Not only does Solstice bring us Death Dancer, Full Belly Barricade, 3 Queen's Wellspring, and Zanmir Genesis for gear, but whenever you dig up a treasure map in Solstice, you have a chance to get a lead for one of 13 furnishings. Now, if you're into housing, you know, once you have dug up a furnishing 3 times, you complete the codex, and you can now buy that furnishing from the Solstice achievement vendor for gold. So it is often a goal of housers to get all 13 of these furnishings times 3. Of course, the game doesn't always give you the leads you want, and sometimes you'll get the same one 6 or 7 times before you get your second one of another, which means it takes a lot of maps to complete the codex for all 13 furnishings. So many of us are going to be buying a lot of these. However, a word of caution. Once you have bought these, you have to buy the container one at a time and open them, and it'll give you the 6 Solstice maps. But if you buy a 7th one and then try to open it, it is not Solstice. I've reported this bug. I assume it's a bug. But for right now, be careful. If you want to buy more without leaving and digging them up and coming back, throw them in your bank before you buy another container, or at least before you open that 7th container. So just be careful with that. Okay, next up, we have Blueprint Nord Bed Canopy on PCNA. That runs about 18 to 22K. On PCEU, I looked it up and it's about 13 to 22, so not too terribly different. Next, we have companion equipment light armor. I typically don't recommend these. You're at the mercy of RNG. They're bound when you buy them this way, so I usually just skip a companion equipment. Our second plan this week is Diagram High Isle Copper Teapot. Definitely think this one's worth it. 75,000 to 250,000. Only 3 listings on PCNA. On PCU, there's 1 listing for only 8,000 gold, but there's only 1 listing. So I still think this is a really good buy. And this teapot works in just about any build. It doesn't scream, this is High Isle. And we have a second base game pattern this week. The Red Guard Sensor Hanging Bulb, 37 to 47k on PCNA. 3 listings on PCEU at the time of this recording. 1 for 25,000, 1 for 30,000, and 1 for 150,000. So I know I typically think that the patterns are worth it. Just grab this one. And even I was mentioning earlier, even if you don't like the shape of the bulb or the way that this looks, just getting this pattern for the smoke pattern is kind of nice to have the option to throw this kind of a smoke into a build. All right, next up we have the Dwarven Theodolite Eye, which of course is part of the Dwarven Theodolite Pet. You find the 7 pieces for this in the public dungeon in Vardenfell, Nucha Leftingth. 3,000 archival fortunes I think is a tad high when you can buy them off traders for 600 to 700 gold. It is here if you really want it, but I would probably either farm them in the public dungeon or buy them off of traders. All right, our leads this week. Both of these leads are for music boxes. This one is Druidic Music Box Drum. This is part of Music Box Blessings of Stone and drops off of the Rivenspire world boss Dasuga the Siren. Not terribly exciting. It's just an overland world boss in a base game zone. But our second one is Miniature Mirror Etched Brace. This one is part of Music Box Lament for the Path. And this one is from the Westweald Daily Reward Coffers. So to get this one, you would have to do a daily in Westweald, turn it in, open the coffer, hope for the best. Now keep in mind, whenever we have a item in these vendors from a DLC, you have to own that DLC to be able to get it. So the Solstice treasure maps, you need to have the content pass. The lead for Miniature Mirror Etched Brace, you need to own Westweald. But you can avoid doing a whole bunch of dailies in an older zone just by buying it for 5,000 archival fortunes, which might be worth it. Also keep in mind, if you do own the content pass and have access to Solstice, this treasure map could be a moneymaker. They run 20 to 40k a piece for 2,000 archival fortunes. I don't think that's terribly bad. Okay. Our books this week, we have Currency of Secrets. This one drops in Infinite Archive. The lore book for Eidetic Memory is in Apocrypha, however. If you're not sure how that works, we have a link in the description below. Our second book is the last edition of Bickus Moose. This one is drops in Infinite Archive, and the lore book for Eidetic Memory is also in Infinite Archive. Our scripts this week, we have Bound Affix Script Force, adds force, a buff increasing critical damage. Bound Affix Script Heroism, adds heroism, a buff increasing ultimate generation. Bound Focus Script Mitigation, adds damage reduction. And Bound Signature Script Cavalier's Charge, adds an increase to damage as ability persists effect. Our style page this week is the Rekugame's Shoulder. This, of course, drops out of Darkshade Caverns 1 dungeon. The mask style page will drop out of Darkshade Caverns 1, and when the mask is dropping, you can get the shoulder from the Undaunted vendor for keys. Or you can get it here for 15,000 archival fortunes. I always recommend you get the mask. The mask RNG, the drop rate on it is awful. The shoulders aren't bad though, but you do have to keep up with when they drop to catch that window to buy it for keys. If you're not good about catching that window, it's here for 15,000 archival fortunes. Next up, we have Fragment of the Sunspire. I'm excited about this one too. This is one of 6 pieces of Puncture Lava Burst skill style, And as the name suggests, it drops off of the final boss in the trial Sunspire. It will drop off of normal, but not everybody has the friend group to run Sunspire. We don't all want to run with strangers. Totally understand that. But because it is rare, it is for 10,000 archival fortunes. So it is a little bit pricier, but that may absolutely be worth it to you. But if you do have a chance to run the trial, it is a guaranteed drop like the other fragments. So, and finally, we have unreliable archive maps. Consume 20 unreliable archive maps to unlock the peer into the mirror maze achievement and the shattered mirror maze face marks. Here are your shattered mirror maze face marks. I do think this is an expensive way to get them at 3,000 archival fortunes when you need 20 of them, especially knowing that they are a guaranteed drop if you've gotten all of your other daily pieces from the Infinite Archive dailies. But if you've run this enough to be able to afford 60,000 archival fortunes to buy the entirety of the face marks, then you've probably run enough of the dailies to just about be done with this. So my recommendation is just to get in the habit of running at least a couple dailies in Infinite Archive a week until you have gotten all the goodies. All right, every week, new gear also drops in Infinite Archive. So we're going to run some Infinite Archive and see what gear is dropping this week. We just ran some Infinite Archive, and it looks like this week we have gear dropping from Starter Zones, which is just Armor of the Trainee, as well as from Blackwood, which would include Bog Raider, Deadlands Assassin, and Frostbite. Frostbite can break down into Ivory Brigade clasps, which is a little extra gold, if that is something you're interested in, or if you do housing. All right, that's going to do it for this week. We'll see you in the next one.